Okay, Aubrey, this is volume of a pyramid. So on the sheet that you have for page 2, it also says surface area, but I'm just gonna have you, we'll talk about surface area, but it's really, what I want you to discover today is the volume, the formula for finding volume of a pyramid. So this is really you can use this formula for any type of pyramid, but we're gonna today focus on square-based and rectangular-based pyramids. So the formula is volume equals base times height over 3. Or another way that this is written is 1/3 base times height. So I wanna kind of try to get you to understand how this works. So when you're thinking about the volume of a cube, volume of a cube is length times width times height. And the reason why I capitalize these is to remember that this is where we're starting, from a volume of a cube. And then that gets simplified because we know that the length times the width is also called the base. So volume of a cube is base times height, right? Well, a cube can be divided into 6 equal pyramids. So I can take a pyramid and if I had 6 of them, I could put them all together and form a cube, okay? So that's really important to think about. So if I know that a cube can be divided into 6 equal pyramids, the volume for finding, or the formula for finding volume of a cube is that original equation, volume of that cube, the length times the width times the height, divided by 6, right? Okay, so now taking it a step further and simplifying this a little further, take a look at this. Now this is just a 2-dimensional form of like what you would see if you were looking straight onto a pyramid. Now, knowing that a cube, if I had a cube here and then I put a pyramid inside of it, knowing that I could fit 6 of them in there, there's one that could be put up here, right? So the height of the cube is also equivalent to the height of the pyramid divided by 2, right? Because this would be the height of my pyramid, and I know I could fit one above it. So the height of the cube is equivalent to the height of the pyramid divided by 2, or 1/2 the height, okay? So now we're gonna take this a step further and we're gonna simplify our equation to make it look like this. Base times height divided by 3. So I know that, yikes, this length times the width is another way of saying that is base, right? So I can substitute this length times the width for my base. And it can be capital B or little b at this point. And then this capital H is the height of the cube. That capital H is the height of the cube, right? So that height of the cube right here is also equivalent to the height of the pyramid divided by 2, right? So if I flip those around, what is the, what can I substitute for this? Well, if I have H equals big H, the height of the cube, equals the height of the pyramid divided by 2, if I flip that around, I can actually say 2H equals big 2 times the height of the pyramid equals the height of the cube, correct? So I can substitute that in there, right? So now I have 2 times little h, and this is all over 6. And I can simplify this, right? 2 over 6, this is actually just 1/3, right? I can divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. So this gets made into a 1, this gets made into a 3. So now I have base times height over 3. So that's how that works. I know it's a little confusing, and I'm gonna send you a YouTube video where I got this and I understood this and how it works. But basically what you can do is you think of the volume of a pyramid as, if you multiplied it by 6, you would get the volume of the cube, right? So you can use those same dimensions. You find the base, and then you can multiply it by the height and then divide it by 3. Now, if you wanted to, you could just say, well, it's length times width times height, but this height would be twice the amount of what the height of the pyramid would be, right? So you could say length times width times 2 times the height all over 6. But you know that gets simplified to length times width, which equals base, times height over 3. And so that's how that works, okay? So let's go ahead and solve for one of these. So I have this one right here. And so my equation, knowing that it's volume equals base times height over 3, volume equals the base, so the base is 2 times 2, times the height over 3. So volume equals 40 divided by 3. And I'm going to find a decimal for that. So 40 divided by 3 equals, let's repeat it. So it's 13.3 repeated, and this is volume, so it's centimeters cubed. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do number 2. This was number 1. Let's do number 2 together before we move on to surface area. So now I'm going to write my formula, divided by 3. So volume equals, here's my base, so 12 times 6 times my height, divided by 3. So volume equals 12 times 6 times 14 is 1,008 divided by 3. Volume equals 336 yards cubed. Okay, so now if we talk about surface area, so surface area, it's kind of the same thing as a cube. However, you still have like these 3 things you need to think about. So you have length times width. This is the base, right? So this is finding the area of the base. And then you only have one base, so you don't have to multiply that by 2. So like if we compare this to surface area of a rectangular prism, it would be 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height, right? So I only have one base for a pyramid, so I don't need to multiply that by 2. But I do have 4 triangles. So this would be, how do I find the area of a triangle? Whatever the base is times the height times 1/2. So this is divided by 2, right? So don't these just cancel each other out, right? So like the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So if I have 2 of them, that would be 2 times 1/2 times base times height. So these just cancel each other out because 2 times 1/2 is 1, or 2 over 2. So now what I have left, this is the base and this is the height, this is the base and this is the height. So if you look at a triangular pyramid here, you've got this base and this is the height. So if this is the length and this is the width, it would be 2 times 1/2 width times height, which is really just width times height, and then 2 times 1/2 length times height, which is just length times height. So the formula for finding the surface area of a pyramid is length times width plus width times height plus length times height, right? Or, hold on, yeah. And then what can happen in this case right here, since the length and the width are the same, you can simplify this one for a square base pyramid to be the base, right? So you find the base plus 2 times the length and the height, right? Because really you would do 4 times, really what this would be 4 times 1/2 the length times the height, or the base times the height, right? And the base would just be the length right here. But then because 4 times 1/2 is just 2, you're just doing 2 of them. Okay? But that's only for square base pyramids. You would have to use this for rectangular base pyramid. So, for example, this one right here, that's a square base pyramid. So then I can use the square base pyramid, which I just said was length times width plus 2 times length times height. So this is 2 times 2, this is the base, plus the area of all the triangles, which would be 2 times the length, 2 times the height. So surface area equals 4 plus 40. Surface area equals 44 centimeters squared. So then if you take a look at this one, this is a rectangular based pyramid. So its surface area equals length times width. This is the base. Plus, then you've got all of, like, this triangle is the same as that triangle back there. So it would be 2 times 1/2. If this is the length, this is the width, and this is the height. The length, which is 12 times 14. Well, really, this cancels each other out. So you just have this length plus, or times the height, right? And then plus this triangle and this triangle. So this is the width times the height. So that would be 2 times 1/2 times 6 times 14. This cancels each other out, so it's just width times height. So surface area equals 12 times 6 plus 12 times 14 plus 6 times 14. So surface area equals 72 plus 168 plus 84. 168 plus 72, which equals 324 yards squared. All right, so I hope that made sense. I am gonna send you a YouTube clip on the volume of a pyramid just to see if that helps make sense. But just remember that the volume of a pyramid is just 1/6 of the volume of like the same type of cube, or a cube that would have the same base. So if you simplify the equation, it would be volume equals base, whatever the base of the pyramid is, times the height divided by 1/3, or divided by 3, or times 1/3. Okay.